Please remember to write your student number in the chat for the register. Please don't forget to write your student numbers in the chat for the register while while we progress. So today's session, it's just a continuation of what we did on Monday. We will continue looking at annuities and how we calculate the annuity questions. I got some of the questions from your past exam papers that relates to the annuities. And since annuities also form part of the amortization, so I felt it will be good that we repeat the same concepts so that when we do the amortization, you know how to calculate the payments, and then we can work with the how to answer the amortization questions so that we don't spend too much time explaining annuities again. Okay, so I'm going to start off by recapping on what we did, not in detail, but just showing you the calculations, and then we will go into doing the exercises. So I'm going to first start doing the recap of the future value of an annuity, and also then move on and do the the present value of an annuity, then move on and do the future value of an annuity. Okay. So that's what we're going to do next 30 minutes. So we know that for those who are calculating annuities and they use manual calculations, like those who don't have the financial calculator, you will have to know which formula to use to calculate the present value of an annuity. And this is the formula. P is equals to R times whatever is inside the bracket, which is 1 plus I, which is your accumulation factor, which is 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power of n. And remember that for your annuities, you always going to divide your interest by the compounding periods, and you're going to multiply your period by the compounding periods. And remember, those compounding periods, they can be daily, monthly, quarterly, bi-weekly, yearly, or any other form that they want you to divide the year within. So looking at an example such as this, calculate the present value of 1,600 payment given for 5 years at an interest rate of 20% per year, compounded quarterly. The first step of everything that you do is always state what you are given based on the formula that you're going to be using. We know in this question, we need to be calculating the present value of an annuity. We are monthly payments, therefore this is our R. We are also told that the payments are for 5 years, therefore this is our N. And we are told that the interest is 20%, and that is your I. And it is compounded quarterly, therefore your compound are equals to 4. Since I know that my compounding periods are equals to 4, we can then calculate our period by saying 5 multiplied by 4, which is equals to 20. And we can divide our interest, which is, we divide 20% by 100, which will be 0.20, divide by 4, which then will give you, sorry, 0.20 divide by 4, which is equals to 0.05. And once you have that answer, you can then just substitute the values onto your formula. And we know the formula is P is equals to present value is equals to your payment R times the accumulation factor, which is 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power n. And when we substitute the values, we know that our I is 0.5 and our n is 20. So we just substitute into the formula 1,600 times 1 plus 0.05 to the power 20 minus 1 divided by 0.05 times 1 plus 0.05 to the power 20. And we solve the equation and we find the answer to the present value to be equals to 19,939.33 or 39.35 cents. And that's how you do when you are calculating things manually, when you have a scientific calculator. If you have a sharp financial calculator, then you can follow the steps. Also, you need to also identify what you are given. So we know that we are given 1,600, which is our PMT. We are also given 5 years, which is our N, our interest, which is our I/Y, which is our interest, and it is compounded quarterly, which is equals to 4. If I know all this value and I know that I need to calculate PV, which is our present value. On your calculator, the first thing you do is to get your calculator from any stored value by pressing second function CA. Then you go into press second function P/Y, which is on the I and Y. So it's second function P/Y, which is your compounding periods, and you put the 4 and then press ENT to store the compounding period. And then you can press plus or minus, on and off your calculator. And you go off your calculator, and then you press plus or minus the values you are given. So we're going to first start with the payment. So it's plus or minus the value of the payment, and then you press the PMT. Very important that you always remember to put the plus or minus. Otherwise, when you do the calculations and you forgot to put the plus or minus, your answer will be negative. So remember to put the plus or minus in front. Then we can put in, it doesn't matter, the order does not really matter. So you can put in the periods first, or you can put the interest first, or you can put the payment first. It doesn't matter, as long as you make sure that by the time you finish putting everything onto your calculator, you have included everything that you were given. Then now we can put in our periods, which is 5 years, second function times PY, and the times PY is on the N button, it's written in orange. So we are actually pressing second function and pressing the N button, and then you need to store that value by pressing again to store the value of your period onto your calculator. Now we can put in the interest, which is 20. And when you're using your financial calculator, the value you see is the value you put on your calculator. And that gives us, when you press COMP, which is comp or compute, and you press the PV for present value, the answer will be the same as what we had previously, which is 19,939 rand and 54 cents. And that's how you calculate the present value of an annuity. Those who are using the financial calculator, the steps remains the same, whether we're doing compounding periods or the compounding interest, or we're doing the annuities. We are always going to press the same steps. Let's look at how we calculate the future value of an annuity. For the future value of an annuity, the formula is S is equals to R times 1 plus I to the power N minus 1 divided by I. And this is for everybody who is doing this manually. By remembering that our I, we need to divide by the compounding period. Your periods, you need to multiply by the compounding period. And then you can substitute into the formula. So let's look at an example. Jack will need 20,000 to buy his brother's car in 2 years' time. He wants to start saving part of his weekly salary into the account that returns 8.5 interest per year, compounded weekly. Calculate the minimum weekly payments that he needs to make into this investment account to have enough in 2 years' time. What are we given? Jack will need. So since they say will need, then this is the future value of what he will need in future. It's not the present value. And we know that he wants to buy a car in 2 years' time, so we can assume also it is also raised that in the question to say if to have enough money in 2 years' time, so we can say our N is 2 years. Oh, sorry. Since we're doing this manually, I need to use the manual thing. So this is our future value, which is S, and this is our period, which is N. He wants to start saving part of his weekly salary, so already there is a hint. This will be weekly compounded. But in the statement, the interest, which is our I, is 0.085 because we divide 8.5% by 100, and it is compounded weekly. So our compounding period is equals to 52. So we know we can multiply 52 by 2 and divide 0.085 by 2. We know what our formula looks like, and that is our formula, which is our future value is equals to our payment times 1 minus interest, 1 plus interest to the power n minus 1 divided by interest. Since we need to know what will be the weekly payment, we don't compute the present value or the future value, but we need to be computing R, and R is what we are looking for. So we can substitute the value. We are given what 20,000, which is our future value. We are told what our interest is 0,085. Our N is 2 years, and our compounding period is 52. We substitute, dividing by our interest by the compounding period, multiplying our period by the compounding period. And if we solve the fractions first, we get that values, and then we solve what is inside the brackets first, and and we get the answer for what is inside the bracket, and divide it by 20,000. And when we do, so what is inside the bracket is 113.235. We divide by 20. We divide 20,000 by the answer we get from what is inside the bracket, and what we get as an answer is 176.58. So it means if Jack wants to have 20,000 in 2 years, he needs to deposit on a weekly basis 176 rand into his bank account, so that it can, or into the investment account, so that it can have 20,000 after 2 years. Okay, and that is how you calculate manually. Calculating on your financial calculator, the same question. We know that we are given the future value. We know that the period, which is N, is 2 years. We know that it is compounded weekly, which is our compounding periods, which are our P/Y, P/Y. We know that we want to calculate the PMT, which is the payment. That's what we're looking for. And our interest, which is our I/Y interest, is 8.5. Now, the first step of everything when you're working on your financial calculator is to get your calculator from any stored values by pressing second function CA, and then we need to store our compounding periods, which are second function P/Y. 2 is our compounding periods because it's compounded weekly, and when it's weekly, it's 52 weeks in a year. And then press the ENT button, and then we press on and off. Now we're ready to store the values onto the calculator. We press plus or minus with the value of 20,000, and then we press the the FV, because this is the future value of the question that we are given. Then we can put in the interest, which is 8.5. And then press the I and Y button. Then we put in the periods by saying 2 because there are 2 years. 2 second function times PY, which is pressing the N button, and then press the N button again. And then we can compute our PMT, which is our payment, and we find that our payment is equal to 176 when you click on the PMT. With that, do you have any question? Are you comfortable to start doing the exercises? Since Okay. Since you are all quiet, I assume that you are all happy. Then I can give you more exercises. So we have 2 hours, but if we finish all the exercises before 2 hours ends, we can leave early today. Or if you feel we have done enough on the annuities, we can also call it the quiz. You don't have to stay for the whole 2 hours because this is a repeat of what we did on Monday. I just wanted to make sure that at least you get more exposure in terms of calculating the annuities. Since on Monday next week, we're going to also be doing amortization, which also includes annuities within it. Okay, so absence of questions or comment. Here is your first exercise. When you have an answer, please do not hesitate to post it on the chat because you guys are quiet so that I can see if you are done. Otherwise, unmute yourself and then tell me that you are done so that then we can do the feedback. So I just want to give you time to do the exercises. But this first exercise, I'm going to help you or nudge you. And then the rest of the exercises, I'm not going to assist you. You're going to work through them alone. And then we'll do the feedback. So a new car is going to cost the buyer 165,000 rand. The buyer intends to make down payment and finance the balance with equal payments of 5,000 rand. At the end of each month for the next 2 years, the interest rate of the loan is 15% per year, compounded monthly. The amount of the down payment is equal. So now we need to calculate how much down payment that he will be doing. Remember, he wants to make a down payment and finance the balance with an equal payment of 5. So what is it that he wants to calculate right now? He wants to calculate the present value, because once you calculate your present value, you will know how much, sorry, my bad. He will need to calculate the future value, because after calculating the future value, it will tell you how much he was financing the car for, and we're going to take that money and subtract 165 so that we can see how much the down payment was for. Does it make sense? Or am I understanding it right? So he's going to buy, he wants to buy a car. It costs 165, but he wants to make a down payment. And since we don't know what is the present value of that down payment, we can either calculate the present value of the down for the present value so that we know how much he's going to start with. So I think we need to calculate the present value. So we calculate the present value, and that present value will tell us that is how much he's going to be financing. And then we take that present value and subtract the total cost, because then it will tell us how much down payment did he put for that car. So, and that's what we want to be calculating. So this we'll use it later. We need to use the payment, which is PMT. Oh, let's start with those who are using the manual calculation, which is R is 5,837.55. Our interest is 15%, which is 0.15. We need to divide it by the compounding periods, and we know that it says it's compounded monthly. So it's 12, and our N is for how long? For 2 years. So that will be 2 multiplied by 12, which will give us an answer. So we need to get those values. Now we need to substitute the values onto the calculator. So you will need to calculate all this, but first you will calculate the present value of R1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power n. That is the formula you use. Those who are calculating manually with the financial calculator, steps are easy. Second function CA, second function P/Y, and then put in the compounding period, then press E and T. Then you go on and off your calculator, plus or minus. Then you find what the value you are given is the payment. You're going to put the value of your payment and press PMT. Apologies for that. There is a car outside that is making noise. I hope it doesn't disturb you guys. Then we can put the interest, which is your value of your interest, which is 15, and that will be your interest. And then we put in the period and press second function. And remember to multiply by P/Y, and then press N again. And then when you're done, you come present value. And once you're done, you have your answers. You're going to take 165 and subtract 165,000 and subtract the answer you get for either the P or the PV. And that should give us the down payment. And that should give us the down payment. How are you guys doing? I see Sibusiso has posted his answer. Oh, her answer. Sorry, Sibusiso. Her answer. Others, are you still busy? Remember, if you also agree with her, you can just press the like button. You can also like her answer for the shop. Okay, so Joseph is also saying he agrees. Tristan and Guest. I don't know who is Guest. Are you winning? Yes, Tristan, yes, you need to tell me if you don't understand. Don't wait until I beg for the answer. Okay, I will explain when I do the feedback. Guess, are you happy? What kind of calculators are you guys using? Can I have an indication of calculators that you guys are using? Okay, I see. Now I understand why you will struggle. The others? Okay. Yusuf, I think you also use a financial calculator because you did BNU previously. So I think yours I will know, but there is one person also here. I don't know. Only if they can unmute and talk to us so we can help if they don't mind, so that I can understand whether which calculator they're using. Okay. Okay, so for those who are using a financial calculator, because it's easy to do, compounding periods is compounded monthly, so there will be 12. The payment, when we press the plus or minus, we're going to use the 5,837.555. Interest, we put it the same way as it is, which is 15, and the period, it says 2 years, so that will be 2, and you compute the value and you will get the answer and subtract that answer from 165, and that will give you option number 1. Those who are calculating manually, remember, this is the formula you use, which is P is equals to, for the present value, your R is your payment times the accumulation factor of 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power n. That is the formula. We know what our R is. We can substitute our R into the formula, which is 5,837.55. So since you are using a K-sure, and I'm going to assume that your K-sure is that one with the fraction capability. Since this is like this, it's so complex. You can do it on your calculator by doing all this sum on your calculator at once. But before you do that, you must calculate all these other values outside, like your interest, and say your interest will be 0.15 divide by 12, which will give you 0.0125. And you must use the whole values, like you don't round it off. Otherwise, you won't get the right answer when you get to the end. And you also say 12 multiplied by 2 because we need to always multiply by the compounding period, and that will be 24. And you will go and substitute into the formula now. So instead of substituting 0.15 divided by 12 where you see I, you're only going to substitute the value of 0.12. So this will be into bracket 1 plus 0.0125 to the power n is 24, the power of 24 minus 1, divide everything by 0.0125 times 1 plus 0.0125 to the power 24. So on your calculator, I just want to show you. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to end the slide. Sure. Keep all the values. And I want to show you on the calculator, the same calculator that you have. I'm going to open my one, which I normally use. That is, if it's still working. I'm not sure if it's still working. I'm going to share it just now. I just want to get to it. It takes longer now to open. Once it's open, I will share the calculator. Okay, so your calculator if it looks somehow like the one I have here, then we are going to be talking the same language. So is your calculator, does it have this fraction button? If it does, then it makes our lives easy because we're going to use the fractions to calculate what is inside the bracket. So first you're going to press the value, which is 5837.55. And you can say multiply by, or you can just go ahead and put the bracket and then put the fraction inside. And once you have put the fraction inside, then we do the values. There is a bracket, so we're going to put the bracket and say 1 plus 0.0125, close bracket, and then you're going to put 1 with an S with a blocky on top. You press that, it will create the power of, and then you press 24, and you need to use your arrow to go to the side. And then when you press the side arrow, it will take it lower. Because if you don't do that, it will create -1 on 24. So you use your right arrow, and then it goes to the side, and then you say -1. And that is the top part. That is what we are doing, which is the top part. And then we go down arrow. You use your down arrow so that you go to the bottom part, so we can do the bottom part. Same with the bottom part, we start with the value 0.0125, and you put the bracket, and then you say 1 plus 0.0125, and you close the bracket. And remember, because it's to the power of 24, you press the power and it will raise everything in the bracket to the power of 24. Now we need to close the bracket. Remember, we opened the bracket initially. So you also going to press the left arrow and then you press it again. You will press it twice. Sorry, not the left, but the right arrow. You will press it twice and it will take you to the end of the fraction line. And then you can press the closing bracket and it will close the sum. And once you are done, you can press the equal sign button. And when you press equal, and it will give you the answer of 120,399. So that will be the answer, which will be 120,395.00. And we need to subtract 165. So you will say 165,000 minus 120,395. And when you press equal, so I'm going to do it here, but my answer will be minus, will be in the negative. It's fine. I will remember that that is my answer is in the negative because I'm starting with a smaller value. So 165,000 equal, and that my answer will be 44,605 because it's in rand to the nearest rand. So when we round it off, then we'll get option number 1. And that's how you calculate. Are you happy? Tristan, does it explain what you were struggling with? Oh, sorry, I left before I can see your response. Aha, okay, so I understand that you know the steps, so I don't have to show them again. Thank you very much. So let me stop sharing my screen and share the presentation alone. Okay, so I guess everybody who's here now is ready to rumble on their own. So going forward, your next exercise. Remember, when you have your answer, you can post it on the chat. Okay. Sibusiso said it's 2, and then somebody liked it, and now she comes back and say, is it 2 or is it 4? So in the chat, let's see. You need to help me here since you guys have all the financial calculators. A school sells its old bus and uses the proceed as 15% deposit for a purchase of a new bus, which costs 330,000. To finance the balance of the purchase, the school takes out a loan that is subject to an interest rate of 13% per annum, compounded monthly. The repayment period of the loan is 3 years. The school repays the loan in equal payments at the end of each month. What is the size of these equal payments? So in the chat, tell me, is this a present value or a future value calculation that you did? Present value calculation, because it's a loan. With the loan, you receive the money now. When you are saving, you get the money at the end. So this is a present value amount, because we need to calculate that present value first and find the present value. What will be that present value in the chat? What is the present value? Remember, the bus cost 330,000. So the present value would be 15% of that, of the 300,000 will tell us the deposit that he paid. Then the balance of that will be the loan amount. So what will be your present value amount? What was your present value amount that you used after taking away the 15%? Remember that they used the proceed of 15% to deposit for the purchase, and then they are going to only finance the balance, which it means is the balance after paying the deposit. So let's see, what do you have? Yes, then you subtract the 15% from your final answer. No, you need to subtract your 15% so that you get the balance, because they paid the deposit and then they have the balance. So you must say 330,000 minus 330,000 times 0.15, which is our deposit. We need to subtract that deposit. So the present value will be 280,500. Actually, this should be, because this is the how much it costs. So this is your present value, 280,500. That should be the present value. Then we need to calculate the monthly payments. Then we need to calculate the monthly payments. That's what we need to be doing. So if I say second function CA, second function INY, and then I put 12 because it's compounded monthly, which are 12 months, E and T, on and off your calculator, plus or minus 280,500. That is our present value. And 3 years, second function N again for our period. And it is, their interest rate is 13.5, which is our I. And if I comp payment, nope. If I comp payment, that will give us option number 4. Second function, before second function CA, you will need to calculate the balance. You will need to calculate what the balance will be, which is 330,000 minus 330,000 times, because we need to take away the deposit. 330,000 times 0.15, which gives us 280,500, which will be our present value. Now we go and say second function CA from our financial calculators. Second function P/Y, it's compounded monthly, so they will be 12. E and T, on and off your calculator. And then plus or minus 280,500. That's our present value. And interest is 13.5. That is your INY. How long? 3 years. Second function, N again. And comp PMT, and that will give you option number 4. Those who are calculating manually, you will need to go find your I, which is 0.135. You will need to multiply that with the compounding periods, which are 12. And you will need to calculate N, which is 3 times 12, which is equals to 36. Oh, sorry, this is not multiplied by 12, it's divided by 12. Sorry. That will be divided by 12. So that will be 0.135 divided by 12 gives us 0.013. 113. And our present value, we've calculated it, is 280,500. And we know that it's compounded 12 months. So we just substitute into the formula. Since this is the present value, so we're going to use P is equals to R times 1I to the power N minus 1 divided by I times 1 plus I to the power N. And we need to divide because we must make R the subject of the formula. So we'll divide P, which is 280,500. We're going to divide it by everything that is inside the bracket, which is everything which is 1 plus our I is 0,0113 to the power N is 36 minus 1 divided by 0,0113 times 1 plus 0,0113 to the power 36, close bracket, is equals to R. And then you go and calculate R. You should find that R is equals to 9518.85. Do you still not see what I am writing? Do you see so? Are you seeing the presentation? Oh, at first I was not writing. I was talking through because I was calculating on the calculator before I started writing. Sorry about that. Okay, so next question.
Hi, sorry, Lizzie.
Yes.
I first did my calculation. I'm not sure if I'm wrong or what, but at first I did my calculations and then I got the second option and then I subtracted the 15% deposit and then I got option 4.
Yeah, because then
I used
what?
30,000 as my present value and then I got the second option and then I subtracted 15% and then I got number 4.
Yeah, but it will also work because you are subtracting it after you have done the interest as well. What will work best is to always read the question carefully and do as they tell you, because here they say you only financing the balance. You're not financing the whole 330 because they paid 15% deposit. So it will be 15% deposit of that, of the 330,000 that they are financing. So you are financing the whole 330. But at the end, what you do is you say from the payment that they are paying, you're taking away the 15% of that payment amount, which it will work, but it's not the right logic to use.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Because otherwise you would have chosen option number 2. But if you did it right by first subtracting the balance, the deposit, so that you get the balance and use the balance as your present value for this loan and calculate it, you will get to 9,000 without having to do an extra step at the end. Okay, so let's see. I think the next question will be easy and simple. When buying their home, Lee family takes out a 15-year loan. Their monthly payment is 5,842. Their interest rate is 10.5 compounded monthly. What is the amount that they borrow? Here is one of the things that you always need to remember. If you are taking out a loan, remember the loan, they give you the money now, but when you pay it at the end of the term, you would have paid it with interest. It will be accumulated. So always when you're taking out the loan, it is always going to be a present value. But if you are saving amount and you want to get an amount at the end of the term, that is your accumulated amount, or that is what we call a future value. So you always have to think about it in that way. So here is your exercise 3. It should take us up until 12:30, and then we go to exercise 4. Then I think we will call it the quiz. After that, we will do one last exercise after this one. Those who joined the class late, please make sure that you write your student number in the chat for the register. Okay, so this one is easy also because they are borrowing and this is a loan, therefore it means we're calculating the present value of an annuity. So the steps should be easy. Second function C8, lays your calculator from any stored memory. This is your interest, compounded 12 months, and it's your N is present value. Sorry, that is not your present value, that is what we calculated. It means we need to be calculating the present value because it's a loan, and 15 years is how many years they want to take the home loan for, and this is your monthly payment. This is your R or your PMT because we're looking for what is the amount that they need to borrow. Remember, a loan, when you're borrowing, does not have interest at that point. Only when you are repaying it at the end of the term, sorry, after 15 years, then we can calculate the future value of that house, of the loan. But for now, we want to find the present value, how much they need to borrow. So second function CA, second function P/Y, and you put in your compounding period, which are 12 months. Then you press the E and T button. You go on and off your calculator. Plus or minus our payment, which is 5,842. And this is our PMT. And we press the interest, which is 10.5, which is INY. And our period, we take it, they want to take this loan for 15 years. So it will be 15, second function, and again to store the value. And then when you say comp, and you say comp present value, your home loan will be of 528,000. Those who are calculating manually, present value is equals to R times 1 plus I to the power N minus 1, not there, yeah, divide by I times 1 plus I to the power N, and we substitute the values. But before we do that, we know that our N is 15 times 12, and we know that our I will be 0,105 divided by 12, and that is what we're going to substitute into our formula. So 0.105 divided by 12 equals 3.105 divided by 12 equals 0,0085. So our R is 5,842 times 1 plus 0.0088 to the power 15 times 12 equals to 180 to the power 180 minus 1. That's what we have. Oh, sorry, not close it there, but close it there at the bottom. Divide by 0,0088 times 1 plus 0,0088 to the power 108. And when you calculate this, it should give you 528,496.99. And that's how you calculate annuities. Let me see if this one is asking for a, let's skip this one. No, we're not gonna skip it. But it's also present value. I want to find the one where it doesn't ask you for the present value. They all ask present value. Ah, there we go. This will be your last exercise to do. What lump sum will be needed? Oh, sorry, let me check your comments in the box because I never asked. Okay. Okay. What lump sum will be needed to generate a payment of 5,000 at the end of each quarter for a period of 5 years if the money is worth 7%? So here they're talking about a lump sum. So therefore it means they're asking you to find out what the future value will be. I think it needs the present value, not the future value. They don't want the present value, but they are questioning it's very wrong. They want you to find the present value. Okay, so I guess you all agree. See. So the first thing we do, this is our payment, and it's compounded quarterly. So it will be 4 quarters for 5 years. That's our N. That's our compounding period. That is our payment. And this is our interest, which we need to divide 0.07 by 4. 0.07 divided by 4, which gives us 0.0175. And we multiply 5 times 4, it's 20. 5 multiplied by 4, which is equals to 20. And we substitute into the formula. 6,000 times 1 plus 0.0175 to the power of n, which is 20, minus 1 divided by 0.0175 times 1 plus 0.0175 to the power 20. And when you calculate this, the answer you will find will be 83,764.6. 41, which is option number 3. Those who are using financial calculators, second function, CA. Second function, P/Y, and it's compounded 4. Then we press the ENT button. You go on and off your calculator, plus or minus 5,000. Why did I use 6,000? That's 5,000. Sorry, my bad. 5,000 for all of them. 5,000, and this is our PMT. And we say 7%. This is our I and Y, and it's 5 years. So it will be second function N, which is P/Y, and then press N again. Then comp PV will give you option number 3. With that, I'm going to give you the rest of the evening off, since you worked very hard. Just to recap on what we just did today, and we will continue on Monday with we look at amortization. Then we will be done with the content for QMI or BNU, whichever one. We looked at how we calculate the future value of an annuity and the present value of an annuity. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough questions for the future value of an annuity, but those who are using the financial calculator, the steps are almost the same. Those who are using manual calculators, you just need to know which formula to use and what you need to compute. And with that, it concludes today's session. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, thank you for coming through. I will see you on Monday. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice weekend.